resellers are gonna make mistakes. Learn from them and you'll have what it takes. In the world of reselling, we're your guide. With flipping ain't easy by your side.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Of course, you guys know it's John and Jenna. And happy Friday, everyone. Hopefully your week has been pretty good in sales. I do apologize for the late start at literally 2 minutes before time to go live. Of course, the doorbell rings. I'm like, okay, I'm up. I can get the packages to the mailman. But it's our normal mailman, and he wants to talk and ask a question about a possible scam. I'm like, okay, well, what's up? So apparently he has somebody who is bought like a $6,000 camera on eBay, and it shows delivered, but it's to a different address in Las Vegas. And one with a carrier, the same carrier, like, yeah, I know this address. I delivered it there. And so it didn't sound right to me because there's no reason for a seller to scam a buyer like that because of buyer protection. You are, as a seller, required to send it out to the address provided. If you change that address, now you're losing out if that buyer claims they didn't get it and they see that you didn't ship it to the address, and there's no trail of like comments like, hey, ship it to Aunt Thelma over here and blah blah blah. So I basically said there's no reason for that. The only thing I could think of is maybe if that seller was using a site like Pirate Ship, right, to buy their label, and then they go on and copy that tracking number, but maybe they upload the wrong tracking number to the wrong, even though they put the right label on it, maybe it will arrive. Maybe that's just, I don't know. But the idea that any seller would try to scam a buyer in that way just doesn't make sense due to buyer protection. So that's not the reason of this live. It's just why we're late. So I apologize altogether. So guys, I've done a series of videos. Really, the main premise was, if you're using promoted listings, you really need to be careful because most of the promoted listing products that eBay has out there just aren't worth they aren't worth it for most sellers. I think we're going to be paying too much money if we engage in a lot of these things, such as, in my opinion, and I know there's some people that are kind of questioning my opinion, but dynamic, I think. And for those of you who don't know what dynamic post promoted listings happens to be, it's where eBay, when you look at when you're listing an item and it says, oh, eBay suggested rate is 15.5%. Well, dynamic is simply accepting what eBay is suggesting, which is covered under 4 different factors, and a lot of it is like subjective. Like, in my opinion, eBay's pushing sellers to promote at a higher rate than they normally would by using that. And even someone saying, well, I'm not worried about dynamic because I put a 5% cap on it. Let me ask you, how many categories are you aware of when you're listing that have under 5% as a suggested rate? And my answer is maybe there's 1 or 2, but there's not many at all. I mean, I haven't seen one in a long, long time. Which means that if you're capping at 5%, you might as well just do a flat rate at 5% and be done with it, because you're never going to, or rarely going to, see your rates go under 5%. So it's just kind of a meaningless practice to have a cap at 5%. 10% maybe, 9% maybe, 8% maybe, because you do see some categories that are a little bit lower than those numbers. But for the most part, I really do feel, now you're going to be driving more traffic to your listings. Let's not get that wrong. But there's kind of a balance, right? So you're driving more traffic faster than if you're not promoting at all, and therefore run a chance of selling it quicker. But for me, I found that balance to where, yeah, I sell it in a week. I'm good with that. I don't need to sell it overnight. And there's no guarantee, even with all that traffic, you're going to get that item sold that fast, or any faster. A lot of it's your demand and competition and all that. So that's kind of where I'm at on that. Now, the reason why I feel like eBay has a promoted listings problem, and it ties into the changes that they're proposing here, or they've actually announced for the folks overseas. And this is the announcement in question. Starting June 24th, 2025, for items listed on ebay.co.uk, ebay.com.au, that's Australia, ebay.fr, that's France, eBay IT, that's Italy, and eBay ES, that's Spain. eBay will report an attributed sale from a general campaign when a buyer purchases the same item that was featured in the ad that was clicked on, not purchased, but clicked on by any, keyword, any buyer in the most recent 30 days. The ad fee is charged when a buyer purchases the promoted item from a general ad. There it goes, any buyer clicked on in the most recent 30 days. The item must be promoted at the time of click and the time of sale. The ad fee is based on the ad rate in effect at the time of the sale. Now, what does that all mean? What it means is, if you have an item up for sale that's promoted, let's say you have an item that's promoted at 5%, and you have it listed, some random guy who's, let's just say, I'll give you two scenarios that works out the same way. Some random buyer who's up late at night looking at, oh, what if I bought this nice whatever, and they find your item in search. They click into your listing. They have no intent on buying anything. They're just shopping. They're just window shopping. They click away. 2 weeks later, organically, maybe they're clicking in through Google Ads, or they're clicking, they're sorting by price, which, of course, we've talked about, displays the organic listing above the sponsored listing. It shows your listing twice that way. They click into the listing that's organic, and whereas before, like right now, it's not, let's say it's not a promoted listing at all. You have that listing with no promotions. By virtue of them clicking, some random guy that's not this person clicking in on it 2 weeks ago, it enables the promoted rate for that listing now, if that makes sense. So you had it, let's say you had that listing promoted 2 weeks ago, but you don't have it now. Well, that Yahoo that clicked on it 2 weeks ago basically is now, that listing has it for 30 days where it's promoted. No, it doesn't make any sense, but it's part of eBay's promoted listing problem, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. It could be a seller. That's the other thing. Someone's doing research on selling the same item that you are. They do a search, that item happens to be promoted, and they click on it, and guess what? Now, no matter what you do to that listing for 30 days, some other person, a serious person that's looking to really buy the item, is clicking on that item, and you are paying that promoted listing fee. Now, why is eBay doing this? Well, we know that eBay is trying to make more money. They're trying to make more profit. Now, people call it greed, call it whatever you want. It's simple business. It's no different than you and I trying to figure out, how do we get more money for this item, right? So I think a lot of people, the strategy is, let's hold out, and try to get as much as we can for this item, meaning that we're not going to take what we consider to be lowball offers. We're just going to sit on that item until we get the price we want. That's one strategy. Now, is that greed? I don't think it's greed. I think it's called a business model. And currently, eBay's business model is much different than what it used to be before promoted listings. eBay's business model is not so much concerned about driving new buyers to their platform to replace the buyers that are going away. I mean, they kind of are, but they're not. It's really, how do we make more money in situations where sellers are not paying promoted listings fees? And I'm going to show you something here right in a second that kind of illustrates what I'm talking about, in that there are, and I did some calculations here, the last 30 days on my main account, I have 145 sales according to eBay. Of those sales, 17.9% are organic, meaning that they did not click directly into a sponsored listing. Maybe they clicked through Google, because that still happens, or they sorted from lowest price plus shipping, found that organic listing, clicked into it, and bought it that way. So 17.9% of my sales are organic. And my bet is eBay is seeing that wait, this guy over here, because I promote almost, well, actually 99.9% of my listings I'm promoting. That 17.9% in eBay's eyes shouldn't happen. It should be a lot lower number. So how do we as eBay shrink that number of organic sales for people who promote most of their items to where it's in the single digits? That shrinking of that number, they bring that down from 17.9% to say 7.9%. Guess what? 10% more across the board in eBay promoted listing fees eBay will be getting, which helps their bottom line and helps their shareholders. And the problem that eBay is faced with, okay, so they're somewhat doing this to the folks in the UK, Australia, and Europe. If it works out and they don't get a lot of flack for it, it's coming to the US, because we know that those locations are somewhat training grounds or testing grounds to see how changes affect their bottom line and all that. If that works, it's coming to a town near you, and you're going to be having fewer organic sales, and you're going to be paying more in fees. And when that's done, when they shrink that bubble, what's next? Higher final value fees? Are we talking, I don't know. I mean, you can suggest all you want. Maybe you go from 2% minimum to a 5% minimum, like they have the cap. I don't know, guys. And I'm not trying to give eBay any ideas. I'm just trying to bring it to light in an understanding as to what eBay is doing. We need to know what this platform is doing as sellers. eBay's not going to tell us. They're not going to come out and tell us. They're going to put it in some kind of a, legalese type document like we just covered. That's not going to explain it very well. And we just need as sellers to know and accept that, the days of us paying only 12.95% plus 30 cents for the PayPal fee, which some of you guys don't remember, but this was pre-COVID. Guess what? It's going to be the norm of 20 to 30% pretty soon. And that's just going to be the way it is if you want any kind of real traffic. Unless you like bonanza traffic, and you will still get sales that way, but just not, if you have a lot of competition, it's not going to be as easy to make a sale. Now, the other part of the problem is, and it's the eBay priority promoted listings that I think is a flop, and that is the cost per click. So the cost per click is like, okay, I have a Nike shoe, and so I'm going to pay eBay $2 for every click. It's a bid process. So I'm hopeful that when a buyer types in Nike, that my $2 for that search, it outbids my other competitors, so I get higher up in the rankings. And eBay is implemented where now they're reserving that top slot in search for priority cost per click campaign users, that if you do win that bid of the word Nike, you will be at the top slot of that search. And of course, it'll rank downwards within page one, depending on where you are within all your competition using cost per click. Now, what the problem is that eBay is, and I'm trying to find the thing here, eBay is still pushing. Now, this is the second time. Remember, it was 50% off. Now it's up to 500. They gave me 50% off up to 400 months ago, which we did, and it was an absolute flop. It didn't work for what we're selling. I think we spent more in ad fees than we actually got in sales. They are continuing to push this, with the carrot being the change that you have a chance of that top slot. But only one listing can get it. So if you're up against other sellers trying to fight for that top slot, it's going to encourage you to push your cost per click bid higher. So 90 cents ain't working, $1 ain't working, let's go $2, and maybe you'll win that top slot. But that's for every click until you run out of your budget, and it can really cost you a lot of money. In my opinion, and we've done videos on this before, the priority promoted listings campaign is really suited for huge sellers or someone with listings with a lot of stock, like multi-quantity listings, and also if you are into your item for pennies on the dollar, it's if you got a lot of room to give eBay some of that profit and you want to get that item moved, I can see you doing a campaign like this. Short of that, eBay is going to keep pushing it, hoping that the wrong market, which is most sellers, fall for it and click on this activate button and get in here and start goofing around with something they have no business goofing around with, because it's going to hurt your bottom line. You're going to be giving eBay more money than you probably should be. So that's the long diatribe that I have, but just know that eBay's business model continues to be bringing in more funds, and that's just the way business is. We have to learn to accept it. I mean, I'm not mad at them for that. I'm always going to be on the level of, if they are saying that they are here to work with us to improve our sales, as partners, which we aren't, because I feel like in this eBay Open, that's kind of the way they're going to present it. Then where's the transparency to say, hey, this is our goal. We want you guys to sell because we make more money when you do, but this is how we're achieving that. Till they do something like that, it's always going to feel like they can do more with being transparent, no matter how they package the announcement. So I want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think about that? I'm totally taking my feeling. I'm a scene charged up because I'm fired up over the topic. I'm really been focusing a lot on promoted listings and trying to understand what it means, how it helps my account. I can't tell you how it's going to affect your account if you sign up for any of these programs, or even what rate you use for standard. But, my goal is to figure out for my business, like it should be for you, how it impacts what you sell. And we're all going to have different results. Someone watching might say, I'm killing it with the priority campaigns, and I've had limited success initially with that on my other account, but it's not, to me, consistent enough to make it worth what I usually say, the juice is worth the squeeze. And in my opinion, I think if you just do a solid rate, find something above 2% and something under their recommended rate, you'll find something that's going to work well for you. And whatever that number is, stick with it, and you'll find a lot of success that way. So we have Keith here with us. He says he's first. Nice to see you, Keith. We are well. We're just been busy. I went and picked up another 60 items, 5 different locations. Had to stop and pick up stuff today. Just a grind. Get home, get as much of the stuff as I can listed, and then get ready for the live. That's kind of what we do here. Swamp Picker says, I got the first thumbs up. Awesome. Hit that thumbs up. Get the sale. We'll give you a sale within the next 24 hours if you hit that like button. So I'd appreciate that.
I need a cha-ching on my board.
Huh?
I need a cha-ching on my board.
Okay, we'll have to do that. Henri Squaw says, popping in early to see who made it first. We'll be back later. So you guys are awesome. I mean, we put the notification out 3 hours before the live, and you guys are just loading up the chat with comments. Here's Mike Metco. Hi, John and Jenna and family. Hope everyone has a great weekend and are able to get our to some sales. Yes, let's get some sales. Jovial is with us. Says, hey, FA fam. Happy hole in my bucket day. This explains a lot about my eBay life as of late. Mike has something to say about priority. Based on what you have reported regarding promoted listings priority, seems like there's a lot of uncertainty and problems with that promotion with not much upside. I'll just keep the standard promoted listings. And again, I'm not going to sit here and say it doesn't work. I can only say that for what we did and what we attempted using these promotions, it didn't even get us our money back on the ad spend. So, we sell not great items on that second account, but I could tell you the first time we tried it, which was like a year and a half ago, like in November, December, we had some limited 2 years ago. We had some limited success when they first launched it, but I'm not falling for that again. I'm not right now. I don't think I have the kind of merchandise in either store that would benefit from that at the kind of cost that they're asking. And it's funny because let's say you have a $5 a day campaign for the cost per click. Then you get going and like 2 days later, they're like, yeah, we suggest $77 for your daily spend. It's like, are you freaking out of your mind? That's like a $2,000 budget, for a cost per click campaign. No, thank you. Keith says, as hundreds of people reported 50% less sales for a while, it seems strange how everyone experienced same percentage. Then eBay launches the new promoted system and penny drops. It was pretty planned tactics to throttle back sales and announce the new promoted update, which you can pay to play. And in order to get your sales back up, you just got to suck it up. You just got to find what works. The whole goal of this discussion is to educate people as to what the options are. And yes, I do provide my opinion, but my opinion is surrounded behind what I've encountered. You may sell something totally different that it works with, but I do feel like I have a pretty good pulse on what the general item, the average everyday item, how it's affected by these different type of campaigns, because I sell everything on my main account, and it just doesn't work well for me. Brenda says, happy Friday, everyone. Nice to see you, Brenda. Derek W. Pat says, hello, awesome people. Nice to see you, Derek. And I guess sales are slow but consistent, huh? Derek's saying he has 78 items on automatic send offers. I'm going to turn those off so I can control the amount of offer to send. And you can also, I think I touched on this on the last live, where you can go in and change the duration. So you can say, I'm going to send out a bulk offer, and anyone who would qualify as a watcher is getting that offer, if they click into the listing, up to 7 days, I think 30 days, 60 days. And you can kind of control how often. The longer you set it for, the fewer offers you're going to be sending out. Joe Samard says, howdy, Jenna and John, and we're getting close to summer heat today, 99.
It's 103 here.
105, yeah, according to my computer.
Your computer is never right.
Duncan says, not first. There are some squinting pink cicadas proud to wear glasses. I just don't like wearing glasses. Hit the like for free green cicadas, blue crickets, 25 item not received cases, 40 returns, and 65 Lucky Duck casino emails. Yeah, I hope you don't get all those, and I'd hate to play at that casino you have down there, Lucky Duck, huh?
Yeah.
Duncan says, I don't know how John sees the golf ball when he's on the green with no glasses. I wear contacts. Now, here's the good news. The good news. I can report that as of a few days ago, and even right now, I'm like, Jenna, my vision's fine right now. So something happened from the time we took that trip when I was up 36 hours to like a week ago, where I'm coming in here and I'm like squinting. Even I think last week's live, I'm like squinting like that to try to see what's being said. I can see just fine, and I don't have my contacts on. So go figure on that. Maybe stress levels can screw up your vision. That's weird. Biscuit Butt says, what up, FA fam? John, Jenna, Mike, Keith Swamp. Okay, everyone. Nice to see you. Thanks for hopping by. Callie Deb says, hello, everyone. I hope you're all having a good week. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Yes, I guess Archie and others, you're not the only one, Archie. They're missing notifications, are getting notifications in Discord, and there's a lot of conversations that are going on in the Discord. Go and check it out. Doesn't cost anything. We don't charge for that. It just gives you an extra place to go, so you're off of eBay Island, and maybe you're going to encounter something that you can bounce off of someone else and get their opinion on it. Henri Squaw says, howdy, John, Jen, and FA chat. Hope everyone is getting more sales than I am. We didn't do very well yesterday, and since you brought it up, we'll talk about it. My sales, let me get this off the screen here. My sales are kind of okay. Sunday 468, Monday 465, Tuesday 399, Wednesday 453, and then yesterday just crap. I don't know what happened there, but today 543. So it's consistent, and this is just the main account. the other store is at, if I could find it here, the other store is kind of doing okay, a couple $100 days, a 0 day yesterday. I have my opinion on that as to what happened, but then 35 today. Now, what could have caused that? I think this here, you see where it says overdue? Now, what happened there? It says shipping overdue. But there's a problem here, and I'll show you. And I want to know if you guys have seen this. I actually made a video about it, but I didn't get a chance to launch it. I still may launch it because not everyone that watches the lives watches my pre-recorded content. Have you seen this? They gave me a cancel request. I went in and canceled it. This was early Tuesday morning before my payout went through, about 3 hours before my payout went through at like 1:30 in the morning. What the hell am I doing up at 1:30 in the morning? I don't know. I can blame her TikTok. I don't know. But it came through. The sale came through, and it's one of those things where they don't read the listing. 20 minutes later, they read the listing. They request a cancellation. I accept the cancellation, and all week I've been trying to cancel. It's gave me a button down here, which you don't see, and it had a red error message above it for the last 3 days saying retry refund, retry refund. And every time I did, the red banner came up saying refund cancellation failed. Please try again. So I called eBay twice. They're going to send it to their IT team. And then today I get this email saying that we couldn't cancel your order. And it says, sorry, your order couldn't be canceled because there's an issue with the refund. So I'm like, what the hell? So I'm not sending it to the buyer. I'm not going to send something they don't want that they already got a notification that's canceled. It doesn't
even give us the option. It doesn't come up in my orders.
So I went in and I went into the order summary and I went in and clicked send refund. You can still do that. And I did. And it says refund failed. So I don't know what's going on. I have money to cover it's really $37 after my fees are refunded. So something's funny, but eBay's like, we're just going to send it over to our IT team. But at the end of the day, eBay's looking at my account saying that I'm delinquent, like it's shipping's overdue. And I'm wondering if, when you get to that status, eBay's like, oh, well, wait, this dude ain't shipping their stuff out. So we're just going to slow things down on, it's going to hurt your account health. I don't know, guys. It just... Conspiracy theory John comes out, and I start thinking that, okay, that has to be tied to that. If the sales didn't change, then I would be like, okay, there's no effect. But the sales did seem to change once that came out. So as far as my year to year, I'll show you the main account. We're at $54,516.74 for the year. That's from 1st of January through May 30th. That's a 5.6% increase in sales from last year. We have 714 items sold on the main account, which is down almost 10%, but our ASP is up $76.35, up 16.3% as compared to last year. Now, why do I show you these numbers? Because I think it's important that when YouTubers come on here to say, this is how I do it, nobody wants to emulate. And I really don't know if you care if you emulate me or not, but no one wants to respect at least the information that's being given out if it's like, yeah, you're making like $100 a week. Now, I'm not disparaging small sellers, but if someone's trying to do this full time and I'm sitting here telling you I can make this work full time, I want to show you the data to back up what I'm talking about, that I'm not just giving you random information and I'm not doing it myself. I'm utilizing everything that I'm telling you. Now, that's not to say, I watched Kevin Commonwealth's video yesterday, how he was fed up and this and that and other thing. And one of the things he's fed up, it seemed to be that he's fed up of YouTubers, saying that, hey, this is the way to do it. And I hope that I don't come off that way as saying this is how you have to do it. Because as I've pointed out many times before, you got James Helferstay, who's doing great, but he's doing it a different way. So there are many ways to skin a cat on eBay and make it work. I'm just giving you an example of what we do. And I'm not just sitting up here saying, well, you have to sell only high ASP, high dollar items, high sell-through rate items, because I do have a second store where we do bring in a couple thousand, about $1,000 to $2,000 a month in extra revenue and it's almost all, like, I think the average sale price is like $15 to $20 on that. And there are some small ticket items there. So I'm doing both. I'm making both work. And, I just hope that you guys don't take me showing you the data the wrong way as like a brag, or saying, hey, this is how I do it, and if you don't do it my way, you suck as a seller. Because that's not what I'm trying to say. I hope you guys don't ever take that the way maybe I come off strongly with my opinion, but it's certainly not meant for that. Are you okay?
No.
Let me turn on the air for you, because it is getting kind of warm in here. We have the AC on, but when we have the door closed, it just, we got this light on us, and it gets real hot in here. Brenda says, happy Friday. Happy Friday to you and to Biscuit.
Got Chastity.
Where's Chastity?
And Ping.
Chastity and Ping. There's Chastity. How you doing? And Ping. Nice to see you too. Jenna says, hey friends, just a moment. John is yapping at the mailman. I can't, he's been very good to us, so I'm not going to rush him away, especially when he has a legit question, like, hey, is this a scam? Derek W. Pat says, sales have been as average can be this week. 5 so far, not including today yet. No complaints on my end. So how do we get you to just kind of continue to move up that ladder and build up your average numbers? Copper Cat says, hello from Arkansas. Just getting in from a long day of yard sales. Only found a couple of items, but it was a beautiful day to be outside. Hot day for me, but
it's too hot outside today.
Big Dre says, hi John, Jenna, and chat. $220 return request followed by $80 return request. The $220 might be a scammer. Only one feedback. Waiting to see if I get a swap out or trash. So hopefully you don't get a swap out.
Yeah.
I think that's sometimes we get our detective hat on when we get a weird like buyer, or we get a weird like, I checked this item, I packed this item, I know there's nothing wrong with this item, and for them to say, it wasn't described, yeah, this is concerning, and then we start looking at it and we see, oh, this is like a single feedback buyer. But I got to tell you, I've had my share of scammers that had hundreds of feedback, and I think it's the people that have big accounts that actually have more experience and know how to work the system. Todd's in the house. Nice to see you, Todd. And we got Gail Carlson's with us. Nice to see you, Gail. Flip It Good's with us. Nice to see you, Flip It Good. And Todd says, just spoke live with some of the Brits about the promoted debacle. They are pissed.
Uh-oh.
And yeah, so just monitor their upsetness and know that if it works for eBay's bottom line, it's coming to a seller near you, and they're going to find a way to decrease the number of organic sales that we get. That's just what it looks like here. Let's see. Keith says, John's just finished his gas bag with the mailman. Flipping from the trailer says, hello all, had a good sales week. Yes. And another thing also real quick, and I don't know if I explained this because I'm like, okay, wait. It doesn't just apply, that whole deal that the Brits and Australia, that's you too, Duncan, and the Europeans are going through. It doesn't just apply to listings that you had promoted and then you took off a promoted and then someone else buys it in 30 days. It applies there, but it also applies when, let's say, that shopper or that seller who's like not serious, they click into your listing and enacts like 30 days. Now, anyone who buys this item, it's going, no matter how they do it. Now, you could be like, well, that item is promoted, so I expect to be charged a promoted fee. But what if they go into your listing organically through Google, or if they go organically through the listing lowest price plus shipping, and they click on that first listing that's not promoted, it's an organic listing that normally wouldn't charge you that fee. Well, thanks to the Yahoo who is just doing window shopping, or that other seller who is doing product research, you're now paying that fee, and it's no longer an organic. And your organic is going to shrink, guys. And hopefully I explained that right. Tampa Bay Picker says, hello, beautiful people. Nice to see you.
Hello.
Glenda Bavona says, happy Friday, everyone. Been sick all week with the stomach bug, but finally feeling better today.
Oh, good. I hope you feel so much better.
Being sick sucks. It's hard. And the other thing is, we don't have banked paid days, right? We're like, okay, now I guess you could say that your draft bank would be constituted as your paid time off, but you still have things to do within the business that drafts just don't cover. The customer service side of things still have to be there. I don't care how sick you are, unless you know you're going to be sick for some time and you set your handling to kind of bump it back, you still got to do shipping. Keith says, wake me up when he finishes the diatribe. Was it that bad? Kevin Hawthorne says, good evening. Nice to see you. I got to say, though, Keith, that's going to affect you. I think as fired up as I may have been when I came on here, you guys are going to be quite fired up in here within the next month when you guys get it. And I got to say, speaking of the folks in the UK, Big Al is going to be on the Profit Playbook podcast tomorrow morning. That's tomorrow evening for you folks in the UK and abroad. Well, if you're in Australia, so I think it's a little bit more pushed out. I think it's more in the evening. But tune in, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern, and it was a heck of a conversation. I got to say, I love Big Al, man. That guy, I have nothing but respect for that guy. I love his journey, and I love I love what he's got going on. So it's a very, very interesting convo that we had. So be sure to tune in. Jovial says, rip Hot Lips Houlihan. Tell Father Mulcahy and Colonel Potter we said hello. Who the hell? That sounds like MASH to me.
Yeah.
That sounds mashy.
Sounds like MASH.
Biff Boffo says, why wouldn't eBay or someone else just send out the bots to click on all the listings in order to trigger the promoted listings rule? Good question. Who's to know? And so this is the thing. Anyone, and I'm going to preface it with this before I go on. eBay, I have nothing personally against you. I absolutely, and this is not because I'm going to eBay Open or anything. This is the truth. If it wasn't for eBay, I don't know where I'd be selling. I don't know how I'd be selling based on the performance of these other platforms. I don't know if I'd be driving for Uber Eats right now. So I am very, very thankful to a place like, I think that's our FedEx guy. Yeah, even though we have nothing today for FedEx, I apologize. This is the segment where Jenna checks on the door because our FedEx guy is here. So, and I lost my train of thought. That's great. Okay, hold on real quick. Yes, okay. Going back to what I just looked at the comment. Okay, so eBay, I do not have anything against you. It may seem like I'm very critical of you, but at the end of the day, I am thankful that we have a site like eBay to sell on, and they've never missed a payment. That was the big concern when eBay went over to manage payments, and they squashed all those concerns. So they do deserve their flowers when they do good stuff. But when it comes off the way it does, it comes off very sneaky and underhanded, and it's not very transparent at all. And that's where I feel like I got to talk to you guys about it, because I think as resellers, we need to know what's going on when it's not really clear what's going on. So as far as you're concerned, what's to say that they don't employ some kind of bots to click on our organic listings and or promoted listings, and then that enacts basically all of our listings are 30-day window where they can come in through Google or through the organic listing, and it's still going to charge you a promoted listing fee. Well, we figure, and I think eBay would be like, trust me, bro, that's not gonna happen. But at the end of the day, you still have people who are utilizing the dynamic promoted listings and trusting eBay. So either you trust eBay or you don't. I'm not sure. I guess I'm in between too. I don't know what to think. I'd like to think a big corporation wouldn't pull little games like this. But is it out of the realm of possibility to be baked into some kind of a, daily ritual that the bots in the background go in and start tinkering with your listings? I guess we'll see. If we see a rise in impressions on our items, I guess we can kind of guess that may be what's going on. I don't know. Keith says, I don't get why they are so pissed over this change. No different than any other you got to use to fact. eBay is pay to play the site now, but it's eliminating all the the 17%, at least for me, this last month. I don't know what, I'd like to know what your numbers are if you've ever looked at it to see over the last month what percentage of your listings are organic. And if you go under, I'll show you where to kind of look here. If you go under traffic, under performance, and go under sales, not traffic. Where is it at here? No, it's traffic. Performance under traffic. I don't know why it didn't come up. It looks different. For whatever reason, this account looks different. You see how it shows you your impressions? Well, you go to quantity sold right there. It's a different graph. But then you click on it and you run your mouse over each day, and it'll show you the dark blue happens to be your organic sales. And so you can get an idea on how many organic sales you have as it compares. So the organics, like this day, I have 1 organic sales and 3 promoted. So there's 4 sales. So that means that 25% of my sales that day were organic. So hopefully that gives you some insight on how to check it yourself, to see, what percentage are you currently getting away. I mean, you could be promoting all your items, and if you have 17% of organic sales, that means that 17% of the time you sell an item, you're not paying an additional promoted listing rate. Keith says it's just like the fee hikes from 2013 to 2025. eBay fees have gone up 40%. They've gone up a lot. Now, look, if you don't promote, you can say that they haven't gone up that much. They haven't gone up nearly that much. But has your sales gone down? That's the thing. We can try to stay static with our fees, right? We have control over our fees. You can just not promote and be 13%, some categories lower. But if you are one of those sellers that are like, I don't sell nearly as much as what I used to sell, that could explain it. And that should prove to you that others are making sales but not you. Why is that? Because they're playing the game, giving eBay more money, and eBay's more willing to give them more impressions or more chances. Think of it as an impression as a chance, an opportunity for, that's the buyer seeing your item, whereas they wouldn't if you didn't have that impression. Now, there's a lot of factors go into whether they click on your listing or not, but every time there's an impression, there's a chance. So like going to this account, this is our secondary account. This is our secondary account. Last month, we've had 1.7 million chances to get a sale. Or actually, 1.7 million chances for someone to click on our item. And almost 5,000 times the last 30 days, they clicked on our item. And I was only successful 82 times out of all those opportunities to get a sale. So that's kind of how you want to look at it. And the more chances you give yourself, it's like buying lottery tickets. It's like, okay, I could buy 1 lottery ticket for the Mega Millions or whatever what do they call that national one? I don't know.
We're not allowed to play, so
well, we go to California to buy the tickets, but you know what I'm talking about. You buy 1 ticket, you got a chance, you got an opportunity, but if you go out and buy, $1,000 worth of tickets, you're going to have a statistically better chance to win the prize, let's say. Biff says, it just guarantees you pay the promoted rate when maybe you didn't have to. That's why people question it. It's also a convoluted approach. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a convoluted approach, but it's a way, to be honest with you, they could wipe out a lot of this organic, and I hate to say this out loud, but I think eBay knows it by now. If they just fixed the way search behaves when you sort it out by price, if you sort it, your best match search by lowest plus shipping, it introduces an organic listing and underneath it a sponsored listing. And if they just fix that to where if you're promoting, you only show the sponsored, then they wouldn't have to play these games. But apparently they can't figure that out, or they'd rather do it this way. I don't know. Keith says it won't be long before you won't be able to list without promoting. Mm-hmm. Or it may go to where, okay, we tried 1%. We didn't think that was enough. We then changed it to 2% promoted as the minimum that you can promote. We don't think that's enough. So the minimum we're going to allow you to promote is going to be 3% or 4% or 5%. You just want, and look, they have smarter people at eBay than I, so I'm not giving them anything that they probably haven't kicked around at the boardroom table or whatever meetings that they have, because they're trying to find creative ways to keep bringing in more money. And I wish they would take this amount of energy to find more ways to bring in buyers or retain buyers as well. Biff says, more than that, it's another layer of confusion where we just have to take eBay's word on whether the fee is correct or not. Luckily, eBay has never done anything shady before, so we don't need to worry. Nah, eBay wouldn't do anything like that. Never would they do anything like that. Paul Rose says, hi, John, Jenna, and FAE crew.
Hi, Paul.
How you doing, Paul? Nice to see you. Glad that you are back. And, the thing is, I could just imagine, here I am, I'm just being honest. I'm calling balls and strikes how I see it, eBay. If you're watching, you have that rep, and you have me on a bulletin board with a bunch of other YouTubers that you guys throw darts at all day. I'm just being honest with what I'm saying. I don't want to go to eBay Open and be treated differently.
You get escorted out.
Yeah, it's like no.
You're gonna have your own Tony.
They're gonna bring Tony in. They're gonna fly Tony in. They're gonna fly Tony in from Chicago and say, we need you to be here as a guest speaker. And I'm gonna show up, and he's gonna say, stop harassing me. Pitco says, if the changes in the UK, and by the way, I think I'm going to release that video so you guys are not looking at the screen. Who the hell is Tony? If those of you guys are members, we did release the video of our travel about 3 weeks ago when we went back east to visit Tyler for his graduation ceremony, and the hell that we went through. I think you guys watched it that are members, but those of you who aren't, maybe I'll release it on a limited basis to see what we get. But that's the main character in the plot was Tony, who gave us a hell of a time. Now, Keith says, if the changes in the UK are what's to come in, you guys in for a rough ride with all their changes. Yeah, because you have private sellers, which we call personal accounts here in the US. Those sellers are kind of getting the shaft. It's really crazy. There's no wonder why your sales are down. A lot of times, these small sellers are also buyers on the platform. So if you piss off a small seller, it's like you piss them off enough, they're not even going to want to buy on your platform. Let's see. Big Dre says, it's inevitable eBay will force higher promoted fees. I look at promotions like the open sign to our stores. The higher the promotion, the bigger and brighter the sign. Yeah, it's no different than driving on a road and you see, there's a advertisement for Coke. And naturally, because Coke advertises the way they do, they're going to get more. It's the word of mouth, right? It's like, and I've always wondered how advertising really works, but you go to the store and you're like, I remember seeing this brand. Let me give it a try. Versus some random off-the-wall brand that has no name recognition, you're probably just going to gloss over and grab the Coke, if that makes sense. That's why RC Cola probably never made it. I didn't think RC Cola. You guys remember RC Cola?
I think it's
Royal
still
Crown?
around.
But I didn't think they were that bad. I just think that they had bad name recognition. And Pepsi
It's like
has
the
done
off-brand of.
Yeah, Pepsi has done a good
Pepsi.
job, but they have never been able to catch Coke. Even she doesn't like Pepsi. She hates it. I don't mind it. Let's see. Derek says, it almost seems like eBay wants to knock out the small sellers, keep the big sellers to make more money. Just my brain thinking out loud. I think there's a lot there. Think about it. If eBay is focused on the buyer's experience, who is better equipped to deliver upon the buyer's experience? A big seller that has employees, that has processes, that has maybe a warehouse or two, or a smaller seller who's out of size, 12 by 5 by 5 box. So they say, this Raisin Brand box will do. And they send it out. I'm serious. Who is going to deliver upon the better buyer experience? That bigger company, they have maybe someone dedicated to dealing with buyer problems like messages and communications with buyers versus someone who's just like solo, like us. And they are so focused on all kinds of parts of the business. Their last focus is on the buyer experience. I really do think it makes sense for eBay to want to push out and give more sales to the bigger sellers. And trust me, I'm not a bigger seller, so that that philosophy negatively affects me if that's what it is. But they've kind of said it, though, too, in the past. Dave Harrington says, pay-per-click really only works if you can narrow down the negative keywords. Sadly, you cannot do this with eBay like you can with Amazon. And it's just convoluted. It's just the whole process is convoluted. Even trying it out when they're willing to do the ad spend, they tell you, we'll let AI do it, or we can let you do it. And the default is AI, and you have no idea what the hell AI is doing with that. I let AI do it, and maybe that was the problem. I let AI do it, and it screwed everything up. Peddling Profits says organic sales, 100% of total sales. It all depends on what you're selling. Mm-hmm. And look, I'm not here to say, look, eBay, you can't make money organically. Like there's some that will only be paying 13% for most categories if you are doing it organically. But, and look, it's going to be, I think, for most categories where either you're promoting or you're not. And if you're not, it's going to be the base level of traffic or impressions or opportunities versus a much higher number there. And, are these garbage impressions that we're getting for promoting? Is the buyer that's looking for your item, whether you promote or not, going to find your item regardless? I guess that's what a lot of people think. And if you're satisfied, and it sounds like you're satisfied with your sales, then continue doing what you do. That's my message to you guys. It's all about finding what works for you. And if you're not satisfied, or you see, like that example I told you about at the beginning of the show, if you've seen over the last 5 years, your sales have plummeted and you still have refused to play the promoted listings game, that could be the reason. And you're never going to know until you give it a shot. Amazon seller 99, Beard should bid for the top spot for the extra large women panties category. I think he's going to do fine with what he's doing with Whatnot. He's doing a lot of sales right now. Todd says, tried promoted, didn't work, stopped promoted, still having good sales. And that's what everyone's got to find for themselves. I would say, as I get a lot of flack because you keep pushing the whole promoted listings things. I'm just reporting to you what I've seen and other people have seen. It would be just if you flip the coin and I'm here saying don't promote. I think it's going to, in all honesty, it's going to hurt many sellers to take that stance when others are promoting and stealing their sales, potentially. Mike G says, I currently have $100 free priority ad I'm doing. 52 clicks on an item that should have sold. All it does is mess your store algorithm up. Been a week, ending it again. And that's the priority campaign where you do the pay-per-click, and it's crazy. The store that I did it on, that's the Hot Desert Deal store with only 400, and we're talking average sale price is $20 per sale. They're wanting me to spend $77 daily in ad spend. It's insane. Why would anybody throw that kind of money at a store like that? Now, I could see maybe someone like James Helferstay. I keep using him as an example. James, I apologize, but I just think that you're the perfect example or measuring point for a large seller, that if James was to throw something like that at his store, it's justifiable with 75,000 items that you're going to put $70 to $75 daily ad spend if you're getting the results. But for someone like 1,000, 2,000 or less, it's probably not a good idea. That's just my opinion. Biff Boffo says, don't promote unnecessarily and you will never have a problem. Yes, and I think you got to get in there and do it. Now, people have asked me, why do you start at 8%? Why do you not start at a smaller number? Because I've tried smaller numbers. I've tried everything that I've mentioned to you guys with limited success, but I've found that 3% ain't cutting it for me. It doesn't give me enough impressions to get more sales. I've tried 5%. Then I bumped it up. Let's try 8%. And that's where the sales start to move. You got to find out what that number is, and try not to go too far over that. Like for me, I'm not going over 10%. Sherman Volkman says, I don't promote anything because of all my low-end items. Now, my only question is, did you draw that conclusion that you don't promote because you just haven't had success with promoting, or you've just decided, I have low end stuff, and if it sells, it sells, and I ain't gonna spend any more out of my profit, my small enough profit? Because if you're into a item that sells for $10, if you're into it for $2 or $3, that's a big chunk of your profits gone in just cost. And then if you use coupons or maybe a markdown sale, where's the room to make any money after eBay takes their fees? Yeah. Big Dre says, I think Dynamic No Cap provides me steady sales because this year I have not been listing regularly. I only lost 5 items on the weekend, but sales are steady. I think you meant to say list 5 items on the weekend.
Yeah, I got confused.
There's James. I'm only here for the John striptease. Yeah,
well,
here it goes.
Might as well leave now.
No, I'm not
needs...
not gonna take my hat off.
You
even.
need the stripper music.
Yeah, I like this shirt, my Craigslist Hunter shirt. I ain't taking it off. Susan says, I just had an offer on an item and I could not find it. Ugh. What does everyone else do when this happens?
Ask John what he does.
I communicate.
At 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning.
I get up. Don't put anything on. I got some britches on, but that's about it. I go into the garage and I start ripping things out. And if I then can't really find it, now I start saying to myself, where the hell, I need to do an inventory. Mm-hmm. So I'll go in and run a spreadsheet where I'll work on that. It takes me like 15 minutes to get that right. Print it out, and I'll go outside and I will do inventory. And then finally, like I did like a week ago, found the damn thing and we got it shipped out on time. But if you don't find it, you got to communicate with your buyer, and hopefully they're understanding, and hopefully they tell you, just give me a refund. Okay, the buyer requested a refund. If they don't respond, then you're stuck with the lost or broken item, and that does count against you as a defect. Peddling Profit says, it all depends on what you're selling. I agree. Big Dre says, I only list 5 items on the weekend. I mean, yes, that's what we thought you meant. Keith says, John, that means you're about 2 hours behind chat, so speed talk, you're playing catch up. No cheating by skipping comments. Well, some of the comments I got to skip because they're talking to someone else. Mike Camparelli says, I appreciate the clarification on the variants of promoted listing products. It's crazy. Don't think eBay is going to lay out the red carpet for you in August, but it has to be mentioned. I would like to think that I'm going to be treated the same as everyone else when I show up, but I just feel like they're going to reserve our seats, right? And I'm going to be like stuck behind some potted plant somewhere in the corner. And I could just see that. Paul Rose says, if I start on eBay again later in the year, I'm just going to do it to suit me. Spent way too much time jumping through hoops. I won't promote to start and may not do best offer on many. Done with it.
Yeah.
But the key thing, I shouldn't even say this. The key tip I can give to you, Paul, is just don't break anything this time. Sorry, buddy.
We love you.
Big Dre says, my sales boost by 50% when I list daily, but that won't be this year as I focus building my niche store. And I'd like to know how that works. I've always said that if you can find a way to build a niche store, that's the best way to do it. After talking to Big Al, it just confirmed to me one of the best problems to have is to be a borderline hoarder, to where you have so much stuff coming out of your ears that the idea of having nothing to list will never exist. I feel like I'm kind of right there with all the stuff that we have, but that's a good problem to have. I don't have to go to the yard sales and stuff, but I don't have enough to necessarily build a niche store. If you can get that kind of merchandise to where you have it coming out of your ears and it's within a niche, then it's going to be smooth.
And it sells.
Well, yeah. Heck, I could go and I guess sell matchboxes, and I don't know if that sells or not, but I'm like, I come across a ton of it and make that work. But if it doesn't have any demand, it's a waste of time. Todd says, Paul, that sounds like a good plan. Mm-hmm. I agree. It's 98 in Burbank and 95 in Chino. Wow. David Kelber says, I didn't get many sales on the promoted per-click promotion. That's the priority campaigns. But it did add followers and have had more people visiting my store lately. That led to double my sales since. Now, we did get a message from eBay that I think was on my main account. That's probably why I didn't see it here, where they said, promote your store. They were offering some kind of a deal if they would match if you promoted your store. I personally don't see a point in doing that with it being an everything seller, but maybe that's something that you could look into, David, is see if promoting your store would also help do the same. Maybe it would cost less to do it. Keith says, John, after driving 12 hours at night and the stress probably had eye strain. I know my eyes were jacked up that entire time. My eyes were red. I mean, it was like I was worried.
It looked like he was high as a freaking kite.
That's probably why he said he thought I was, a drunk.
Well, that's why. I'm sure. But we had already explained to them the entire day, so they had to know that your eyes are red for a reason.
Michelle says, good afternoon. Thanks for being here, Michelle Kirkpatrick. Nice
Michelle.
to see you. Todd says, promoted listings screwed up my vision. Susan says, school year ended for me, so I'm ready to start posting more items daily and get my inventory straightened up. So stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole inventory, management is stressful, but you're going to find that you're either going to have items that are not listed on your shelf or wherever you keep them, or you're going to have missing items.
Yeah,
and in one case,
want that.
I found a couple of duplicate listings. You're not supposed to have duplicate listings, but somehow that happened. Mm-hmm. Derek W. Pat says, man, that stinks. Dang eBay's bugs. Yes. And, I didn't miss a lot of. Okay, I'm on target. Okay. Keith says, John, that's probably a fault on the buyer's account where they can't refund a payment method. But why? Did they, use, a gift card or something? And that's why I can't.
That's exactly when they said that, I was thinking, I wonder if they used a gift card and for some reason or another it doesn't allow money to be added back onto it. I don't know. It's
at this
possible.
point they've only given me the option to ship it, and they've removed the cancellation.
I can't even get to it.
You can go in and find if you go under right here, and you go into see cancel details, it'll pop this screen up, and then you click on the order summary, which I won't because it has the buyer's address. I don't want to show that live, but you click on that, and then there's a drop down where it did give me the option to send a refund. When I tried, it says no, but then you could get label and all that. You could still send this out, but the thing that sucks about this, for the buyer, they haven't gotten their money back, but for me, for us,
will they get their
but
money?
for us, this is what we got, overdue. And so this is hurting, this red here, shipping overdue, that's a ding on our account. And they say, well, we're not going to count it against you, but at the end of the day, it is going to be counted.
Meanwhile, it is being counted against us. We had no sales yesterday.
We have a few today.
We have one today.
Pink says, John, what method of payment did you specify for your seller fees and reimbursements? Could that have caused a problem with the refund? That's what the rep asked me, but I have a card linked. I have my bank account linked on the payout, and I have the card for that bank account linked for the payments if eBay feels like they have to charge my account. But the issue, that shouldn't even be an issue, because at the time the request was received, I had $300 something in that account. Now 3 hours later, they sent that available balance. This is 3 hours after I approved the cancellation. They sent that available balance to my account. But even then, the next day, I had over $37 in there, or whatever the amount was. I had enough to cover that refund, and it continuously said that there is a problem. So it has to be something not on my end at all. I mean, it's just, this is the only transaction that's happened. Big Dre says the buyer is returning the $220 item because it didn't have a remote, which I mentioned in the listing. And maybe that's legit. Maybe And see, here's the thing: they don't read the listings, so
Yeah.
they assumed, and you know how many times your buyers assume. It's like daily.
Thank you, Paul.
Keith says, U.S. guys will know it's coming when your sales drop by half, as in 50% drop. I think there's other factors involved with your sales dropping. I think it could, because that thing that we just talked about hasn't even hit you guys yet. I could ask Grok, sales slower than normal. See what it says over the last few months. Let's see what it says. You guys know me, I like to talk with Grok, see what it has to say. It's saying that pressures and cost of living crisis, seasonal trends, platform changes, and seller frustrations. And look, it's getting its information from all kinds of different sources. It's not just pulling it. Buyer behavior and fraud concerns, technical visibility issues, glitches, such as slow page loading, time at errors or inaccurate traffic analysis or analytics may reduce listing visibility and buyer access, directly hitting sales. So it's, it's taking information off the internet to try to answer that question. It may not be the most accurate response, but there's a lot of factors involved there. Troy Elmer says, just starting listing 2 months ago from 50 storage units I bought last year and sold 100 of the 650 pairs of jeans and shoes I've listed so far. That's awesome.
That's good.
Yeah, just keep plugging away. I would definitely recommend that you get your jeans and your shoes over to Poshmark and Crosspost.
Yeah.
No matter what tool you use, but if you're looking for a cross lister, we use TreeCat. You can click on the link down below and get set up. You don't pay a monthly fee. You only pay as you make sales. And what they do is if you sell something on eBay, it'll take it off of Poshmark so you're not double selling your item. And there's a lot of cool features like Poshmark sharing that it'll do all that for you. It's another thing. It's like Poshmark. Poshmark and eBay, they play these games, right? And you got to be willing to play the games. Like a lot of sellers on Poshmark don't want to play that sharing game. It's like, I don't want to sit here and share my items all day. And then you can use a tool like that's within TreeCat to do that headache work for you. Duncan says, John mentioned my name. I must be in trouble. My answer, KFC. KFC ain't bad, I got to tell you. Troy Elmer says, been reseller since I was a kid, but now full-time after 30 years driving career ended a year ago.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd be a full-time reseller. I thought that, to be honest with you, I thought that I was going to be, and people told me that, hey, you're going to be closing this office at some point. You're actually going to be, they're going to give you the keys at some point. And I really thought my career was on that kind of a trajectory. When we left, I still had a solid, I still had a solid, 18 years left before I was able to retire? Well, not really that. If I would have stayed, could have retired at 60, that would have left me with 14 years, 15 years. But even then, the trajectory that my career was heading, I was certainly heading towards manager / maybe director of that call center. That was kind of a goal I had. It wasn't a goal I shared with anybody, but it certainly was on the back of my mind. And I sold part-time just to make a little extra cash. But I never thought I'd be here doing it full-time. I thought I'd be totally doing something else at this point in my life. Keith says, yes, it affects us end of June, but we already know all about it. But it definitely a pay-to-play eBay game here on in. Yep. And the faster you accept that, I think we can push and fight and scream and get mad and want to find channels that support how we feel. But I think even tech and sports, he had a video, I think yesterday I watched it, and he was kind of fired up about it. But at the end of the day, what are you going to do about it? What is your getting mad going to do about eBay's bottom line? Do you think eBay is going to change their bottom line even if 20 to 30% of sellers get pissed off about it? Because at the end of the day, they have to answer to not you. They don't even have to answer to our buyers. They have to answer to the shareholders. And if they can't give them a dividend, they're going to be looked at. Now, that's job security. And anyone who's worked for somebody knows that it's all about job security, and everything else just is secondary. And so for them who are making the decisions, it is job security. How do we get that next contract, that next payday if you're in upper management? That's how it works. Let's see. Derek says, another discovery today. I figured out what the add/edit note tab is for. That is located in the section from your listing. So proud of myself. Yeah, it's not something that I use, but yeah, it's just another way you can add notes to your listing if you want. Yes, Dave, I agree. Troy Elmer, welcome to the club, and don't be a stranger. And Troy says, I can't wait to build a tech team for my reseller education website. Already filled the Scorp for it. Interesting. Randall Lee says, thumbs up, guys. John, do you still recommend promoting listings at 5.1%? I recommend, Randall, this is what I recommend. If you're going to delve in the promoted listings world, don't dive in at 2% like everyone who feels obligated to promote and they're doing it reluctantly or diving in at the very minimum. I think that's probably one step ahead of not promoting at all. Find something between 3% and whatever you feel your max is. Draw that line. I've drawn it at 10%. It's just my own personal thing. And maybe start at 3%. And if you're not quite where you want to be, try 5 point. And I always do 0.1 because people generally jump. I'm doing 5% or 6% or 7%. I want to be one little step ahead. If it ever came down to me and another seller promoting at the same amount, or like I'm at 8%, they're at 8%, I'm at 8.1. Everything else is the same. I'd like to think I'm getting that edge because of that 0.1. So you just got to find what works for you. That's my message. And for some, promoting is not even in the cards. They don't need to promote. And I think the more you need the money, the more you feel you're probably going to feel like you're going to need to promote. If you do this as a hobby, if you do this to make a few bucks, and you're willing to wait for that unicorn buyer, then by all means keep the money and don't promote. Kelly says, solds for organic versus promoted used to sit around 50-50, but this last month was 78% promoted and 22% organic, which is stupid. Which means that eBay knows. eBay knows about that. For me, 17%, you 22%. I think we're probably all around 20% for those of us who do promote, and they know, and they're trying to find a way to get a piece of that organic pie. Troy says, eBay and Amazon answer to outside investors. My Scorp never will. Serving reseller and buyers alike without corruption, growing organically and exponentially. Yeah, we just got to accept that's what the game is. The game, is now we are dealing with executives that have their own indirectly their own best interests in mind, because it's not about the selling experience or necessarily the buying experience. It's about the shareholder experience. We have to know and accept that's what's going on. And Todd got a sale. Awesome. Mm-hmm. You're screwing up here. What's going on? Keith says there's no other site that can match eBay other than Amazon. But even on Amazon, you're not safe unless you're an authorized distributor. Authorized distributor, being gated, finding that, I was gated in this category, now I'm not. Having to deal with all that's just the game. I've tried to play it many times, and it just kind of just turns me off of the whole thing. Henri Squaw says, it just seems with all the limited visibility that eBay overall sales would drop, and therefore their profits. As a buyer, I just want to find my item quickly and buy it.
Yes.
Yes, but for whatever reason, and you can insert reason here, eBay's losing buyers. They've been losing buyers over the years. Now, I don't know with their because recently they've been advertising. I don't know how successful that's been to bring in more buyers. But why are they losing buyers? It isn't because buyers that are already on the site don't know about eBay. It's because they're not getting the experience that they expect. Like this buyer that I just told you about with the whole cancellation. Right. Do you really think that they're going to be happy or maybe excited to go and buy from eBay again when they can't even get their money back on a cancellation? Lee Smithies says, eBay UK gave me 50% off promotional listings 7 April and saved me £24 in fees. I don't know if others have received this promotion. It's the one that I was showing you about. I'm not sure if it's on my screen anymore. I think I got rid of it. Oh, I didn't get rid of it. I just clicked out of it. But it's just like this one here, where you get 50% off of promoted. Well, this is promoted stores, so you can try. This is eBay trying to get me to do promoted stores, but if I had a niche, maybe it's worth looking into. But I don't have a niche, so it doesn't make sense for me to try to promote something where a buyer buys something from me and then they're like, oh, I want to buy another one, and they come back, it's not even available. So that's not in the cards for me. Chastity says, I'm at 26 organic. I have an itchy nose. Remember time on this live, I don't know if it's the fan, but something causes my nose to itch. I'm at 26 organic to 33 promoted over the last 30 days. Sales have not been good this month for me, promoted or not. Yeah, that's not bueno. See here, I'm trying to get this thing knock me down. Troy says, I have the edge most reseller only dream of: no debt or mortgage, a paid for house and a paid for warehouse, and wife finally agreed to learn and help. How did you do that? I'm working on it. I really am. You have anything to say?
No.
To the last part of this? Nothing? Okay. Well, better you than me. I'm trying. Troy says, I grew up with gas station on every corner. Competition draws traffic. Yeah. The fact that you have low bills really helps the pressure that you have to make sales. Some people have car payments, multiple car payments, a mortgage, high bills, credit cards, and they got to do more. Darn itchy nose. Paul says, pursue damn predictive. Sharma says, you ready for the new pandemic? I hope not. I don't want a boost in sales.
Not playing that fucking game again.
I don't want a boost in sales because everyone's dying. No, thank you.
Not.
Devon says, I am late but made it. Nice to see you, Devon.
Hi.
Russell Hunnicky, I hope I said that right. With all things considered, do you guys still prefer reselling to a standard corporate America office job? I'm ramping up, but and ambivalent as to whether I should continue. Yes, if you do it right. Now, we got lucky at the first month after we had no jobs. We were like, this shit ain't working. We did all the things that we saw like hustle hacks do back in the day, where they're buying shoes from Ross and Burlington, and we were proud of ourselves. We took photos in front of our merchandise and put it on Facebook, and we started listing, and we're like, this ain't paying the damn bills. Then we got lucky and found liquidation, and we really then ran with the ball. We had, I think it was a couple months in 2019 with liquidation that, I mean, we had a $25,000 sales month, another $20,000 month. Numbers I haven't been able to hit since, but at least we're still making it work. But my advice is, look, if you have a steady job, you have good benefits, it's tolerable, you don't have a lot of stress, then keep doing reselling on the side and keep your day. That's what I would say. Keep your job if you're, if you somewhat enjoy it. If you hate it, can't stand the people you work with, once you leave there, you're going to feel a lot better. But you got to have something to replace that income and stuff. Driving me nuts here. Sherman says, I didn't get promoted. I got left back. Troy says, when sales slow down, I'll be buying storage, selling furniture, and consolidating more inventory. Yeah, and there's lots of ways to do that. I think Bearded Picker's proven that you can make that transition to a Whatnot seller and really move a lot of stuff. If that's now furniture, probably not so much. You want to do your marketplaces on that. Ping's never liked the taste of RC Cola.
Me neither.
Josh Galt says Jolt Cola, the original energy drink. You remember that?
Jolt? No.
I had my share of Jolts when I was working late at night, and when you're taking calls late at night, it can be a lot of downtime, and you're like falling asleep between calls. Yeah, you can use those Jolts. Ricky Ray says eBay is getting worse and worse, and how many bears? And I'm thinking just seriously about throwing in the towel. They're the ones that's making the money off our stuff, not us. I know that. I accepted that. I have enough room in the items that I buy to make it okay. I realize that if margins are shrinking, I have to just be willing to get more stuff sold, get more stuff listed. And I'm making it work. Until something drastically changes on this platform, I'm going to keep doing it. And I don't know where I'd go. If you say, I don't know I'm going to sell on eBay anymore, where do you go? Well, what's the alternative? For me, I think at 51 years old, 6 years removed from the workforce, I don't care how many of those awards that I get there and one there. I don't care how many awards I get that I can bring to an interview and say, hey, I'm, achieved all these things. I don't think being 6 years removed is helpful if I try to get back in the workforce. And believe me, I did get a email from what's the name of that company that does they do the jobs, and if you sign up.
LinkedIn. Not
LinkedIn. It's another one. But they say, oh, we got the perfect job for you. Manager at a local call center. And trust me, I did look at what they're trying to pay, like $75,000 a year. But I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Now, something was 3 years ago when we were driving for Uber, I might have entertained that. Mike says, hi, Josh. I did send you an email. So we all know now that you have an email, Josh. You lose, I'm the winner, says, I agree with Derek Pat. Definitely trying to weed out the small sellers. It only makes logical sense. They probably are not focused on advertising to buyers because their constant is us sellers. Yes. And one thing that Big Al said, and you guys are going to have to watch it tomorrow, that eBay's customer is really us, the sellers. And if you kind of think about it, it's right. I mean, think about it. If you have a brick and mortar, as a seller in that brick and mortar, your landlord is, let's say, eBay. And so eBay is dealing directly with you with all the rules, regulations, and fees for the benefit of the buyer. So the buyer is really an eBay customer technically, but technically not. They're really your customer, and we are eBay's customer, more direct so than the buyer, if that makes sense. And eBay is more of a moderator in the transaction because buyers don't buy anything directly from eBay. Now, if you're an Amazon seller, a little bit different story because buyers do buy directly from Amazon on Amazon. But eBay doesn't have listings of their own on the platform. Joe Samard says, just looked 72 organic, 28 promoted. So that is around 25-ish%. Yeah. As Sherman says, eBay bites. Yes, it can. Brando B says, hi, everyone. Finally catching you live. Got to get my like in. Well, thanks for being here, Brando. Don't be a stranger. We love seeing new faces here. Devon says, I have been packing, leaving Sunday evening to Montana to check out the new cabin.
Ooh, how fun.
Josh says, hey, Mike, thank you. Noticed that I had 25, so that went straight to junk. Ooh.
Uh-oh.
That sucks. Where do my emails go if Mike's are going to junk?
Straight to junk.
That sucks.
You go to trash. He goes to spam.
That ain't right. Trying to do something real fast. I'm just trying to see something real quick. Bear with me. I'm just trying to see how many people we have. 160 watching. That's outstanding. Jay Collings says, not sure why eBay is complicating things. If promoted listings are on, you pay the extra. Unpromoted, you don't. Making things X plus Y. It's just a complicated formula. Is head spinning, yes. Mm-hmm. Ben Davis says, the bigger sellers are terrible, though. Bad feedback and canceled orders.
Yeah.
But a lot of sales.
And I've seen a lot of customer service.
I've seen a lot of these big ones. I think Retail King is one that does a lot of liquidation, or is it King Retail, something like that. And they have just a lot of like horrible listings, a lot of horrible feedback, but yet they just get a lot of sales. Kimok 7, reselling for most is best if it's side hustle, only my opinion, unless you have an army of staff to help. I'll go along with what a lot of people are saying about promoted listings. It just depends on what you're selling. I'm able to list, and this doesn't seem like a lot, guys, but I'm able to list 10 plus a day on the main and make on the average of about $400 to $500. That's in sales. Margin about 45%-ish. You do the math. And then my secondary account, it's another $75 to $100 a day. Same margin. So over the month, maybe I'm getting 14,000 in sales. Cut that in a little less than half, and that's what we're working with. But not all of my eggs are in the same basket. We have other forms of income, and YouTube ain't it. We're only making like $500 to $600 a month on YouTube, so that ain't it. Keith says, I seen a Coca-Cola ad once at side of the road that said, reduce speed now, take Coke instead, but it soon got banned. John Doe says, I've noticed the larger sellers don't care about buyer experience and ship everything unprotected in polymailers.
Yep.
We will use polymailers on some things.
Yeah, but it's always protected on the inside.
Troy says, I learned when I was small sales add up faster than big ticket sales working for Radio Shack a short period. Yeah. Sherman says, what that thing I heard eBay is doing, they do everything, list your items, ship them, and customer service, and you just collect whatever profit is left. That's something that they had tried to work on for years, where you ship your items into a fulfillment center and then eBay does all the work for you, sort of like Amazon FBA. But I don't think that ever materialized. That's been something that's been talked about for years. Daniel Oberholzer, says eBay AI ads increased my sales by almost 9x in about 5 weeks this spring. My sales were the slowest ever and went to the highest spring sales ever. So I'm curious what you sell to get that kind of success. Yeah. We have Daisy. Daisy's with us. Hello, wonderful people. I almost missed this live again, but happy to be here. Well, we're happy you're here.
We're happy you're here.
And go check out the replay, though, when this is done, so you can catch the beginning. Troy says, I promote everything. Most of my inventory is pennies per item. Keep your cost per item average low, where you still make money wholesaling out, and you won't be afraid of promoting. Right. Yes. I just sold a very nice vacuum cleaner. It's a Eureka vacuum cleaner. Very good condition. I took a $25 offer plus shipping. Now, when I listed it, I'm like, that's nuts. But I've had it listed for months now, and I just want it gone.
Just get rid of it.
Yeah, and I made some money on it. I've been doing it for like, I think $7. So there's nothing wrong with that. Dave says, you'll be ignored by eBay. Trust me, I have already been there and done that at Boss Reseller Remix. I don't mind being ignored, but I do plan on having some questions. And it's only going to make them look bad if they have me in the corner behind the potted plant going, hey, I got a question. And they keep ignoring me. Henri Squaw says, I'm going to try some new items soon. I'm getting a Final Fantasy Magic card lot that will get released soon. We'll see how that goes. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let us know how that goes. Josh says, Dave, sounds like a challenge. Yes. Sounds like a challenge. If they're going to ignore me, I don't know, what can I do?
Exactly what you just
did. Do I wear a
did.
flashing sign?
How about that Silver Fox striptease?
Did I wear a flashing hat that's just like, call me, call me, call me? Paul says, John, I smashed my own stuff, not eBay stock. Thanks for reminding me, pal. I'm always here to help. Dave says, eBay will act like they care in person and will even gather tons of info from you. However, nothing has ever changed. This is much like Bert mentioned. Yes, they'll say, that's a good question. I don't have the answer for you, but let me hand it off to my insert team here, and we'll get back to you. And you'll wait and wait and wait, and no one will ever get back to you. Kimok7, Goodwill ran a 50% off sale on Memorial Day. I filled carts, yo. Mm-hmm. So you got it at the real price.
Yeah.
The price that we're all used to.
It should be.
Yeah. Sherman Volkman says, I can't create another store even though my emails are on a different server, but the surname is the same. Huh, interesting. Spam Banshee, checking in late.
Spam.
Nice to see you guys. Brando B says, anyone have any issues with bulk shipping and making a scan sheet? A lot of times it errors out and leaves several behind, then have to go back in and do those again. I don't use a scan sheet. My carrier, he's fine without a scan sheet. A lot of times, we'll bring the stuff. I'll help him bring the stuff out to his truck. We sit there and have a conversation while he's scanning the stuff and while he's loading it into his truck. So it's all good.
Today was the last day for our FedEx driver.
Really?
Yeah, we have a new one on Monday.
Okay.
He said he's good. We've had him before.
Okay. John Doe says, good money in the Matchbox and diecast, some going for insane prices. Awesome. Dave says, prime example, look up Formbees and then look at eBay's terms of service. It clearly mentions Formbees as a brand that cannot be sold. Don't trust me. Look up sold comps for Formbees. Yeah, and I'm sure you'll see them.
What are Formbees?
I'm sure you will see sold comps for
I'll
Formbees.
look it up. You keep going.
Well, F-O-R, you know how to spell it, right?
What?
You know how to spell that, right? Formbees. Why are you looking at me for?
Are you questioning my
You're not-
spelling abilities?
I'm questioning the fact that it's right there in front of you.
Yes.
Why do you have to look it up? It's right there. There's Formbees.
Because I was going to do it
Looks like you
myself.
can sell Formbees on eBay.
Yeah, there's tons of them.
Yeah, you can't sell.
Damn, it's expensive.
You can't sell. What is that? Hoverboards.
Yeah.
On
don't do
eBay.
that.
But can you? There's some hoverboards. Metal frame, motorized. Okay, well, there's
Probably
one.
not using the word
There it is. Hoverboard.
Oh, hoverboard right there.
Hoverboard.
Well,
So-
I was wrong. I don't know.
Let's see. We have Randall says from 2005 to 13, I would sell my coins by specific niches. The problem, better capitalized letters would see what I was doing, and I had to move on to another niche.
Better capitalized sellers.
Sellers, they would see what I was doing, and yeah. This is a game of emulation, and I think we all need to be in that mode to emulate what's working for others in our category. Devon says, John, good drugs, medication. What medication?
No,
I guess
for
I
your
missed that.
eye.
Henri Squaw says, I've had a good luck with the few die-cast cars I've gotten. If Stephanie Mitchell says, hi. Finally got here on time for your live chat. Love you guys. Hope all is well. Well,
Aw, we
darn
love
it.
you.
Thank you. You represent a lot of the people that just can't get to the live that will still watch every episode. So I want to thank you for at least stopping by and being here. That's awesome. Love it. Troy says, wife in Utah and Oregon for 6 weeks, visiting the kids and grandkids. Plan on 700 to 1100 net a week before she returns. 300 to 350 now. So get that stuff listed.
Yeah.
Paul says, John, if they give you reserve seats, check they aren't behind the swinging doors on porcelain before attending. Yeah. You lose on the winners. Says, John, did you name your ChatGPT Grok? Is that just what he is called in the app? LOL. No. That is the X.
Grok is X's AI.
Yeah. It's X's AI and
In other words, the old Twitter. Not
right.
That is
but
now
in my
X.
opinion, it is one of the
Better.
best. It is one of the best ones. And it's free. I pay $10 a month to get the ability to add, to do photos. I do that for research, and it's so amazing. I'll have something, I don't know what the hell it is, and I'll just tell Grok, I don't know what this thing is. Can you, and I'll take a couple photos, can you tell me what it is? And it'll say, yeah, this is so, and I do that a lot for auto parts, and it's really good at that. Jovial says, what? A silver fox strip tease? Me please.
I knew she would love that.
Yeah. That's crazy. Honor Squad says, there's a Formby's home improvement store on eBay. So they allow it.
Oh.
They allow it. Is it because they've had Vero problems and they don't want to deal with Formby's, so they'll pacify Formby's by saying, no, we don't allow it. See, it's here in our terms of service, but they allow it. Troy says, I've been telling my wife for 5 years, hard times means opportunity. That's true. We have boats in the house. Why are you laughing?
Because you can't say boats without boats and hose.
My store is not moving for poop.
Uh-oh.
So you're not having an eBay bowel movement. Pico says, which means you will get all the changes they do here just like we did in a short period of time. Thus, all of them changes screw up sales. We'll find out. Maybe eBay is looking at, wow, all these changes are really decreasing the volume of sales in the UK. So maybe we shouldn't implement this particular change. That's what I'm hoping for. Pink says Formby's may be a Vero member, but they don't have a Vero participant page unless their parent company has a different name. Maybe.
Ping is so smart.
Dave says, but basically if you leave out all the attributes and try to hide the fact that it's, say, a high gloss tongue oil, it might go through, but it's hit or miss. John Doe says, I recently went back on Whatnot after a long hiatus. Now things have changed for the worse. Left a sour taste in my mouth. I'll stick with eBay and Amazon.
Oh, no.
It's not for everyone. It isn't. Especially if you're like, wow, I'm used to getting $10 for this and I can only get my minimum bid, or it's not selling at all. That's a little disheartening. Todd says, I thought I'd be a hand model the rest of my life. Well, you're the best hand model we know.
Yeah.
Keith says, yeah, you got to accept the changes. No point spitting your tummy out. eBay not going to change it. Nope. And Lance Shark Picker says, you have quite a resume for that, Todd, for the hands. Yes. And Boats was a firefighter for 17 and a half years and got taken out from the arson fire trying to make up for lost wages. I'm sorry to hear that.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
That sucks. Troy says, I've known since I was 19 going through electronic school. Had a vivid dream of running a giant electronic scrap warehouse. It was a cryptic psychic dream.
Interesting.
I had a dream last night
Oh, God.
that me and a bunch of people, this is so weird, me and a bunch of people, for whatever reason, snuck into the back of a USPS truck and were trying to get away from something, and we ended up in like a post office that's connected to a mall, and we got out of the truck, we ran, but then they came after us, and I got arrested outside of the mall.
Sounds a little like your
Weird.
childhood.
Weird dream, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'm not supposed to hitch a ride from the mailman. It was really weird. Anybody have like weird dreams like that? It's like, and you remember
I have
it?
weird dreams, but I never remember them.
The ones you remember is like, what the hell just happened here? Illinois Picker says, I've never been closer to closing my store down and giving up, but I decided to give it another try. I'm revamping my store and listing and to be successful again.
Yes, absolutely. Don't give up.
Before you quit, don't quit if you can't say you've tried everything to make it work. And that means promoting. I'm not the ambassador for promotions, guys. I'm here just to say that eBay can work, and it may take things you don't want to do, doing things you don't want to do to see that success, but don't quit until you can say you've done that.
Yeah.
A lot of comments. I don't know if I'm going to make it before 5 o'clock. Yeah.
It's already 4:40. Holy shit.
Samantha says, hey, John and Jenna, FA viewers, I'm not pleased with eBay's new idea for promoting listings. I don't use it. I mean, it's you got to make that determination, if it's going to work for you. If you promote and you're not getting any more sales, then there's no point in doing it if you get the same number of sales. Pensacola Flipper, good day, just got back from the New Orleans bins. It was a win. 3 items paid for, all 155 I got. 3-hour drive was worth it. There you go.
Fun.
Sometimes you gotta do that.
Doing little day trips like that would be kind of fun. I mean, of course, not the bins for us, but like maybe yard sales or something.
So Illinois Picker says another factor is random for Amazon. Another factor is a random disable of your listings account for IP violation or some other BS they come up with on a whim. Or how about this? Your competitors hitting you with a counterfeit claim, and that gets you your account health. And they don't give you like multiple warnings like eBay does. It's like, I think 2 or 3 and your account's toast. Reef the Sea Forever, I'm down 20%, normally slow this time, going on vacation soon. Just go on vacation. Take some time away.
Yeah.
Troy says we have to accept investors' exploitation for now. Walmart will never catch Amazon regardless of reseller recruiting. They won't. But I'm okay with eBay being... See, you could have made that statement 10 years ago, though. I'm okay with eBay being what they were 10 years ago with the volume. They never will be what they were to us sellers 10 years ago. But as far as the amount of sales, if they can still be number 2 on that chain, I'm still good with that.
Go back up just a smidge. Keep going, keep going.
What are you looking for?
Kelly Debs. I just got 3 sales. The lighthouse just turned toward my store.
Awesome.
That's
you're not doing your
amazing.
job when you're reading that. Candy O says, hello, J&J John. Thanks for the breakdown on the end and relist versus end and sell similar. Tried the relist option and found it to be much quicker, somehow much less stressful. Seems to have the same results. Yeah, it does. I'm just so used to the end item sell similar process that I just do it that way, a little longer. Yes, may the lighthouse stick while shining on you. Yes.
Yes, I hope it stays shining on you.
Nick-
and everybody, including me.
Nick
and
Rinaldi
you.
says you just have to accept that eBay serves their shareholders. They do not serve sellers. Use eBay as a tool to make money. A mega corporation will never care about you. You just have to learn to accept.
Absolutely.
And once you accept that, the stress level of all the crap just kind of leaves you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what to... It's like having that friend that you know that they're just going to be a jerk sometimes, but you do value the times when they're not, and you enjoy the times with them for the most part. Some of us tend to put up with that jerk sometimes. It's a bad analogy, I know, but it was horrible. I just try to do it on the fly. I don't have a list of analogies for everything. I just do the best that I can. Sherman says, TGIF, have a good weekend. I'm out. Well, nice to see you, Sherman.
Sherman, thanks for coming in.
You probably never saw this comment because he was out. What?
I thought I saw him after he said that.
Okay. Troy says, I don't whine about fees. eBay is my 24/7, 365 store, full-time employees, and no benefit expenses or utility bills. Yes. I don't have that yet. I mean, is it to say I'm not going to have employees in the future? I can't say that, but not right now. It's not. Derek W. Pat says, I have items that I don't promote because it's not needed. These items don't have many active listings. 1 page or less of active listings, like around 8 or 10 listings as an example. Yeah. Pitco says, John, are you going to try eBay Live? That one you have to be invited to, I believe. And I think it's more of a, if you're selling on eBay Live, you're selling in one of their focus categories. And I don't do that either. Troy says, I have to get a dumpster to clean up my junkyard out front before my wife gets home in 5 weeks. Lots of trash buying storage units. Yeah, that could be messy. So.
Oh my God, I can only imagine.
Paul says, I wouldn't be interested in fulfilled by eBay, just more fees for sending the items to storage. At what point is it just take what you want and send me the pennies left? No.
Exactly.
I mean, they're already charging upwards of 30% when we're doing all the work. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
They're like, no, it's going to be more of a consignment. You pay us 50% and then we'll give you the rest. That's probably just being conservative. It's probably higher than that. Big Dre says, yeah, channels that ignore me, I end up blocking. No time for me, no time for you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's why we like reading the comments. It's important for us to share. If you're going to take time to comment on the live, we want to take time to read it. Unless it's to somebody else, and then we'll skip it. Duncan says, I saw a cricket on your wall. It's trying to get back to Australia.
Yeah.
Randall says, last month I had a coin dealer tell me if you don't ever lose money on a sale, you're not trying. You will lose money sometimes on sales.
There are times.
But I'm trying to get in so cheap on the item that it may feel like that vacuum cleaner sold for $25. I originally wanted like 50 or 60 plus shipping, but you know what? Time to move on. Get that shelf space for something else. I have too much stuff. My storage unit is packed. And it's time to start diving into that. I mean, I wanted to save a lot of it for Q4, which I will, but it's time to get that stuff listed. What to do with an old eBay photo? Do you delete them or get a new SD card? Well, I'll just get a new...
Delete.
I'll just get a new iPhone that has 1 terabit on it, and I don't have to do any of that stuff.
Yeah, you still do.
If those of you guys know my plight with T-Mobile, we just changed to AT&T, so I have...
This is the same rodeo we've been down before. It's just starting all over again.
Derek says, the items I don't promote are items that show me are sold, then active only on items that have 1 page of active listings. If there are more than 1 page full, I will promote the item.
Yeah. Hi, Swamp Picker.
Where? Oh,
glad you're here.
Well, I thought we saw him earlier.
No.
Well, nice to see you, Swamp Picker. Troy Elmer, I told wife's sister I'm going to start teaching people in my barn for $10 an hour to kick off my reseller education website.
Do it.
Go for it.
You've got to start somewhere.
John Doe says, I got negative feedback and a new item returned in a horrible shape recently. eBay removed the feedback and I got to keep the money from the sale. That's awesome. But they won't do that every time.
Yeah.
They might have done it as a one-time courtesy, but they won't do that every time. John Gaynor says, hi, Jen and John. What on the podcast tomorrow? Last week was a good one. Thanks for the podcast. Makes my Saturday. We're going to have Big Al from the UK. Excellent businessman, and he loves eBay. So just good to have a conversation with people that get fired up about, what we get fired up about. Troy Elmer, best thing about my job, I can drink beer while I'm working. And
True.
you couldn't do that at Amtrak. Even if you worked at the call center, they
Can
pulled
you
you.
imagine if I still drank?
They pulled you for the same violation they would pull a conductor for, even though you're just working the phones. Reef the Sea Forever. What not is more like a wholesale? Yes. Some people are fine with that. Paul Rose, thankfully I don't remember most of my dreams, probably for the best.
Yeah, that's me. I have horrendous dreams, and I'm glad I don't remember them.
I'm glad I don't have a local small post office where they close up for work like Swamp Picker. That's not good.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Troy says, y'all must be in the West Coast. I grew up in Indio, California. Now I live in Alabama.
Alabama?
Yeah,
Where in Alabama are you?
If
You're
you're
in Beard's neck of the
You're near
woods.
Huntsville, then you're by Bearded Picker.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yes, we're in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Speaking of Bearded Picker, he's not here tonight, is he?
No, he doesn't like us anymore.
I guess. I can't tell if he's going live after the show or not.
Yeah.
I would promote his show, but he's not here.
Yeah.
Keith says, Paul, you don't want to be dreaming about breaking Universal Studios glasses. Dave's got 39 sales today. It's like summer to speed up for me. There you go.
Summer speed up instead of summer slow down.
Look, it's been the summer speed up for us last 2 years.
Yeah.
Duncan, eBay equals less sales because there are too many sellers. Do you think there's too many sellers? I don't know. I think there's not as many buyers, which makes it seem like there's too many sellers.
Yeah. Wait, what Jovial say?
Sherman says that my comments are AI. Jovial says, I like that the spicy bean said today, run towards your issues and problems. He's talking about Josh, by the way. Face and resolve the issues so that they... No, not everyone.
Are you telling me or are you telling them?
Anyone who's willing to listen.
Okay.
I like what the spicy bean said today. Run towards your issues and problems. Face and resolve the issues so they'll go away instead of running from them because they will always chase you.
That's
Thank you, Josh.
110% true.
Troy says, you accept or do something about it. That's how corporations are born, and that's why I started my new website.
Good job.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Derek, can't wait to watch your journey grow.
Derek says, amazing team. Stream today, guys. Enjoyed it. It was fun, entertaining, and I learned some new things. That's always good. We're getting close, guys. We have a few more minutes.
Derek, where are you?
Major Win. Nice to see you, Major Win. Sorry we're late. Long work day.
Hello, hello. Hey, is that little profile picture something that we're supposed to look forward to in the future?
I don't know. What is it? A bush?
It's them with cartoon faces.
Oh, okay. Karen Wolven says promoted listings are extortion.
Yes.
If you're used to not paying them, they feel that way.
Yeah.
Yes. I've learned to accept them, and it just built it in my business model. Troy Elmer says the front house was gutted before we bought the property. 1,100 square feet. Furniture slows me down, but I still have 50% room to sort. 2 days silent and just got a sale. There you go.
Yes.
Yes. Hopefully it's because you hit the like button. Let's see. CPR. While the algorithm is still learning about sellers, could we start teaching it? The problem is, it is still learning. It is still learning, but I don't know what we could teach it. It's learning. It is learning. I can promise you that. I just don't know to what extent. eBay won't share that information with us. Troy says Haleyville and Huntsville an hour away.
Okay, so you're for you're a country mile away.
And to continue CPR statement, as in only list an item when one sells, or is it just too big? I don't know. I mean, at some point, look, eBay is going to be 5 to 10 years from now. And by the way, we talk about this in tomorrow's podcast, Profit Playbook podcast. eBay is going to be a lot different than what we know it as today. And it's going to be really AI driven, more so than you know it. And it wouldn't surprise me that if you'd have a lot more options available for you to be automated. Daniel says, what issues did you have with T-Mobile? Try Red Pocket. You can choose between all three big carriers. I pay $32 a month for 20 gigs of very fast data, $45 for unlimited. The issue I had with T-Mobile was when I go on my trip every year to the same location out at Parker, Arizona, that for a solid week, I can't get reception, and it's like it's frustrating. I don't.
Yeah, if I have an emergency while I'm home alone, I have nobody to call other than 911, and I'd rather not have to do that. So I need him to have service.
Common sense. Are you making at least $5,000 per month reselling? Yes,
Yes.
We are, and I can tell you that. Like this last deposit, this last week, we got upwards a little over $2,000 deposited, and then I take my taxes out of that, and then of course I will pull my costs and stuff out of that too, you know, and then take whatever's left. Major Win says, how's everyone's sales today? Ours are trash, but the past 3 days have been solid.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
hopefully
you're riding the
hopefully
wave.
you guys get more sales. Darn it, you guys
Yeah.
are too good of people not to.
I know. And Derek, I knew you were from Texas. I don't know why I questioned it.
Joseph Mart says, "By all, going to fix my dinner," and I think we're going to go fix our dinner too.
What are we gonna
I
do
don't
for
know.
dinner?
We're going to figure that out. But figuring out whether or not, you know, you're going to use promoted listings. We talk about all the different ways to do it. It's something that each seller needs to do, but just know that eBay is going to continue down this road where they're going to try to get more fees, find more opportunities to get fees from us. And the sooner you accept it and stop fighting it, I mean, I sound like an eBay shill when I say that. Promise you I'm not, but it's more for my own sanity and my own mindset. I condition my mindset so I can get to work and I can stay focused and not get so upset and frustrated like I used to get. Well, figuring all that out is yet another example of how flipping ain't easy. Want you guys to have an excellent rest of your week. Or actually, I want you to have an excellent weekend. And we will talk to you guys very soon.
We love you.
Take care.
Chargebacks, returns, and lowball offers too. Zero takedowns, they're a pain, what can we do? High selling fees, bad buys, and rude buyers galore. Flipping ain't easy, but we keep coming back for more. All resellers are gonna make mistakes. Learn from them and you'll have what it takes. In the world of reselling, we're your guide. With flipping ain't easy by your side. Sourcing great items is the key to success. Subscribe to the channel and stand above the rest. Focus on the thing that is within your control. Hang with flipping ain't easy. Let's roll. Catch the live streams on Mondays and Fridays. Join the Discord community for the parlays. Tune into the podcast. Profit Playbook's the name. With Scott and Josh, flipping's more than a game. All resellers are gonna make mistakes. Learn from them and you'll have what it takes. In the world of reselling, we're your guide. With flipping ain't easy by your side. Catch the live streams on Mondays and Fridays. Join the Discord community for the parlays. Tune into the podcast. Profit Playbook's the name. With Scott and Josh, flipping's more than a game. Catch the live streams on Mondays and Fridays. Join the Discord community for the parlays. Tune into the podcast. Profit Playbook's the name. With Scott and Josh, flipping's more than a game.